Hey, so I wanted to make a quick video about how to convert a scattergun that has the full-size stock into HPA. So basically, the only thing that you're going to need is a 10mm socket, as long as a wrench or a screwdriver with a pretty long shaft, I'd say about like 7 inches, and preferably something with a deep socket that will help a bit. The other thing that you're going to need is this HPA line. I got mine off of Amped Airsoft, and all you have to do is just Google the, like Amp Airsoft Tokyo Marui M870 like in-grip line or something like that. It'll show up, and because it's a jag arm scattergun, it will work with Tokyo Marui M870 parts. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of this butt plate. You just grab it, squeeze it around right here. It'll pop up. You want to get that little mag thing out. So there's this top tab right here. You just press it down. If you have gas, it'll just kind of eject itself out. So there's your gas canister. And if you see down into the stock, there'll be two little holes. Okay, so there you can see the little brass nub that we need to get out. So we're going to just reach our screwdriver in there and just lefty-loosey it out. It's really hard to tell when this has been unscrewed, but usually it just falls out like that, and then you just tilt everything over to grab it out. Alright, so just tilt this out, it falls out. Now that we have that little port out, you can see inside there's still going to be a little brass piece over there. That's actually fixed on the other end of this stock, and we don't have to touch it for the installation. Pretty simple now. All you have to do is grab this line over here. These threads should match this thread over here, and all you have to do is screw it in. So when this comes to you, it will actually be shipped with some like Teflon tape looking thing over here for a better seal. So I found that it makes it pretty difficult to screw in when actually installing it. So I just kind of took that off, or left a little bit on there, whatever. It makes installing it a lot easier, and I haven't had any gas leaks, and if I do have extra Teflon tape, so Okay, so on this fitting right here that you just took out, there is this little white O-ring here that isn't on the HPA line. You're going to have to remove this little white O-ring and put it on the HPA line. Alrighty, so here's the HPA line with the O-ring in here. Basically, when you screw it in, it's going to press against the base of the stock, and this will help you prevent any gas leaks from happening. So this is going to be the hardest part of the installation. There's no good tool to use to actually get in there and turn the thing because the stock is so long. So I'm just using the hose itself and just kind of twisting it until I get it into place. Just be careful not to strip it. If you turn it like a quarter of a turn and it feels like it's really tight, you're cross-threading it. So yeah, this is how you know that you got it right. When I twist, it'll actually make multiple rotations, and if I try to pull it out, it won't budge. So that's how you know you have it threaded in and not cross-threaded. So since I don't have any good tools I could think of to tighten this down and like crank it down all the way, I've just been grabbing the line itself. And I know you're not really supposed to do this to torque anything down, but just twisting it, to a moderate amount has worked so far for me. And if that starts leaking, I'd probably just like start wrapping Teflon tape on it, since you'd have to either like 3D print a tool to get in there or have a really long socket. But so far for me, that's worked fine. You just have to take special care not to like twist this line off, especially if you just bought it. Okay, so you got your line screwed in. At this point, you can actually test it with an HPA tank. See if there's any leaks, and if there are, try addressing that first. Okay, so when you're testing for the air leaks by connecting it to your HPA tank, you really want to put your ear up against the stock right here and be really quiet and just listen for any quiet hissing. If there is anything, you probably want to Teflon tape those threads and make sure you have that O-ring on the base of your little connector. If you hear any leaking around this area, it means that the condition of the scattergun itself is pretty used, and you may have to rebuild the internals. If you hook it up now and you find that there's no leaks anymore, you can start with the next step, which involves cutting a little bit so that the line can actually fall from underneath. Now there are two ways of doing this. What I see a lot of people do is go through the hole that's already in the stock. You need to drill this out a little bit more to actually make it fit. These lines are about like 9 to 10 millimeters. I would do 11 just to be safe, since you need to fit this thicker one through this hole. But you can also do the option that I decided to do, which was, instead of drilling a hole out here, was cutting a hole out the bottom of my base plate. This way the stock maintains its original shape, and if you break anything, you just have to replace the base plate instead. There are two ways to drill this hole over here. One is using a drill. I ended up doing at about 12 millimeter ish hole, going at it with like a 5 millimeter and then a 12 millimeter to drill something like this out. You can also just cut out a square hole here using a Dremel. And having done the drill way, I would definitely recommend you do it with a Dremel, because it seems a lot cleaner and a lot easier than what I've done. But anyway, all you need to do really is cut a hole here that's about 1 centimeter across, 1 centimeter wide, just so that you can fit the line inside. And because you don't have to thread this bulky metal part through it, you can actually make the cut a little smaller than if you were to drill it through here. So I found 1 millimeter. You could probably dial it down to like 9 millimeters would work fine. So yeah, that's the only permanent part of the stock that you actually have to change and actually cut out. Other than that, it should be fine. So all you have to do is fold this line back down, squeeze the butt plates back on, and see how it fits. Okay, so hopefully by the end of it, you have the stock something like this. You can see we are looking for no real gap, especially at this end when actually putting the butt pad back on. And you can see how I did it. Even with the square hole, because there's rubber on the butt pad, it kind of seals everything together. So if you're a little off, it doesn't really matter. At this point, everything should be all HPA tapped and good for you to use. So that's the video. Hopefully it helps you out when deciding whether or not you want to HPA tap something like this with a fixed stock. Again, I didn't really see any other videos out there about how this actually installs into it, so I figured I'd put this out here. If you have any other questions, make sure to just put it in the comment, or any suggestions for any other projects you want me to tackle, and maybe I'll get around to it.